Okay, we will call this work session to order. And our first bill is 417, establishing an electric school bus program. Mickey, do we have an amendment on this? Okay. Right. Right.
Sure, if you had a chance to look at this, I don't think
Okay. How come I don't have 417?
You need it?
Okay. Is there anyone here that wants to speak to us about electric school buses? I can tell it's high on the list of, that would be very helpful. Thank you.
Okay, good morning. Thank you, everyone. My name is Kelly Buchanan. I'm Director of Legislative and Regulatory Affairs for Clean Energy New Hampshire. And before you today, there's Senate Bill 417, which is establishing a pilot program to examine the use of electric school buses in New Hampshire. What I will say about this bill is that it's pretty straightforward. There are some well-established guidelines in the bill that determine the pilot program in partnership with whomever is applying. That could be the New Hampshire utilities, it could be a municipality, it could be a school district. And then we also have support from the Department of Energy, as well as any necessary intervention by the Public Utilities Commission. The other important thing to mention about this bill is that it does not establish any funding source from the general fund. It's simply taking advantage of funds which are already available to the state. So that would include the Volkswagen Mitigation Trust Fund, and those funds are currently housed at the Department of Environmental Services, who would play a pivotal role in this pilot program as well. They really have the staff that are well trained enough to envision how this will function. And the other source of funding that I'll mention is that the federal funding from the bipartisan infrastructure bill will be coming to New Hampshire, and there's quite a lot of money on the table. And so this pilot program will assist New Hampshire in taking advantage of that. And I believe the number is 17 million. And then there's another 2.5 to 5 billion in grant funding available. So it's quite a lot, and it simply enables New Hampshire an opportunity to participate in the federal opportunities, of course, with all the New Hampshire stakeholders at the table. So if the committee has any questions regarding this piece of legislation, I would be glad to answer them at this time.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Anytime, Representative Bucco.
In this particular legislation, it's proposing 5 buses at a cost of about $1.4 million. Is that correct?
That does sound correct to me. I'd need to take a look at the full bill again, but 5 buses does seem a small number, but I feel it's appropriate to start out with such a number.
I follow up on that.
Certainly.
My other question is, are these, will there be students on these buses? Will there be kids on the buses? And how do we protect them from these batteries bursting into flames?
So I will say yes, the intention is to use these buses to transport students. However, I would point out to you that any bus that is used would have to go through a rigorous safety examination, just the same as any other bus, any diesel bus that's used. Another important consideration with electric buses is not only are they quieter for students, they're much healthier in terms of internal air quality. In a usual diesel-fired bus, you have high levels of pollution that can cause asthma in children, and it's quite significant. And so the comfort and the internal air quality in these buses would be a large selling point.
Thank you.
Are there other questions? Yes, Representative Murray.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can you speak to what the Volkswagen money is it being used now? And what's available in the Volkswagen fund?
So in terms of what's available in the Volkswagen Fund, there are a couple different pots of money. The Department of Environmental Services right now has an RFP out, a request for proposal for electric vehicle charging infrastructure, and that's one part of the fund. I need to take a look and see what exactly from this fund could be delegated under the EV pilot exactly. And that would be a really excellent question for Becky Oler at the Department of Environmental Services, and I can share her contact information with the committee.
I think I'll use the phrase lots of money.
There's quite a bit. We're talking millions.
Yeah, it's multi-millions of dollars from the Volkswagen settlement. Okay. Representative Petrie?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for taking my question. Batteries, especially in the cold, when it's 20 below, loses current. How are they going to compensate for that? And is it going to have a tow truck to bring it around afterwards, or what? I mean, what's the deal?
No, so it's when you're driving an electric vehicle, it's the same calculus as having a tank of gas, except we're dealing with different units. So you're thinking about charge on a battery. These buses would be well equipped to handle their routes. And I know when you're driving an EV, you always have that buffer consideration of exactly how much range you have. And so it would be quite easy to calculate the route of a school bus and determine exactly how much of a charge the bus is capable of and figure out that mile number with a calculation used for, the lost efficiency that you do see in extreme cold weather, and that's a real consideration. But usually we're able to plan around those sorts of things, and the bus still works fine within its range.
Are there further questions? Yes, Representative Heath.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Have there been any calculations done for school districts in terms of the cost saving factor by moving toward electric vehicles versus what they have now, those sometimes stinky vehicles?
I don't have exact numbers in front of me today. I apologize, but I will point out for the committee that the Oyster River School District, as well as Nashua's Regional Planning Commission, are both in active talks with producers of electric school buses and seeking to replace their fleets. So these buses, oftentimes over their lifetime, are much cheaper to maintain. When you have an EV, it doesn't need an oil change. And what you're really looking at is just tire replacement is your only consistent maintenance, especially with a lot of miles traveled. So the cost savings would be quite enormous in terms of maintenance. It's also less work for the school district. They are rather stationary items once you get them.
Yes, go ahead, Representative Petrie.
Thank you. Do they have hybrid buses, do you know?
Yeah, I believe there are hybrid buses. That's certainly an option out there. This pilot program, however, would be just examining EV, fully electric school buses.
Representative Turcotte?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Did I hear you say Oyster River and Nashua are already looking into electric
indeed.
buses? That's outside of this pilot program?
They are examining that. I know this pilot program would be of great assistance in terms of helping other school districts that are perhaps not as fully prepared financially to take advantage of this piece of technology. I'm thinking of more underserved areas and rural areas that may truly benefit in terms of improving their students' experience on the bus as well as their air quality.
But just to be clear, they are doing it outside of a pilot program. They're doing it on their own volition.
They are examining it on their
Thank
own
you.
volition.
Okay, any other questions? Okay. Mickey handed out an amendment. Um, and basically it replaces Roman 2, which for those of us that have been around for a while, you know, we have the infrastructure fund, the school infrastructure fund. And I believe in the last budget, we also included in the infrastructure fund the ability for schools to apply for that for electric school buses. And so that fund was trying to get repurposed, but it didn't make it. And so I felt it was important that we also let people know that there is money in the infrastructure fund to support electric school buses. I think the pilot program is good. I don't have a problem with that, but I just wanted to make sure that all funding would be available to them. So that's the amendment. It's basically, it's the last line. That funding shall not exclude a school receiving grants from the Public School Infrastructure Fund established in RSA, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, is there anyone else out there that wants to talk about electric school buses? Thank you so much for, oh, yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair.
Good afternoon.
My name is John Marasco. I'm the Director of the Division of Motor Vehicles. I have not reviewed this bill. and
I have not met you before.
Nice to meet you, Representative.
Congratulations on your new job.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's been about 2 months now. And
I know.
Very thankful to be there and working with a great team. So
Great.
thank you.
Yep. And before I forget, I just want to personally pass on that I was up at Twin Mountain, which of course is the bustling DMV of the world, in case you didn't know that, folks. But we got very good service up there, and we're very pleased with the work that the people up there are doing. So
I'm so glad to hear that.
Thank
you
you.
for sharing that. And I know Holly and Kim up there, myself and Jeff Oberdank, we had the opportunity to go up there recently, and they do a wonderful job. So thank you, Representative.
let me just make a comment. Excuse me. I love Twin Mountain because it's so easy, but if you get tired of waiting in line any place, you can probably drive to Twin Mountain and back in the time it will take you to get whatever you need done
Yeah.
at one of the other DMVs. You heard this morning COAS has 13,000 people, and all 13,000 don't show up at the same time. So just a little aside, I'm sorry, I shouldn't do that.
No, that was wonderful. Thank you for the positive feedback, and I'll make sure I pass that along to Twin Mountain. Thank you, Madam Chair. I have not read this bill, and for that I apologize. I just came from another committee meeting. But you asked if anybody had any thoughts on electric school buses. I hear it's a pilot program. Maybe you've already studied this, but I just want to bring it to the committee's attention that we had the benefit of a presentation by Matthew Wilmot. He's a state fire marshal. This is probably about a month ago. I didn't know anything about ion lithium batteries. He gave quite a presentation that was 45 minutes, and it was very neutral and fact-based and academic. And I can tell you that for that presentation, the New Hampshire Automobile Dealers Association was there. Some of the actual dealers were there. I was there. State Police was there. There were several, the Commissioner's Office. There were some things that were highlighted during that presentation that maybe this committee's already looked at and addressed. But there were some real safety issues with those batteries that most of us in the room were not aware of. So I just wanted to highlight that, bring it to your attention. If you thought it made sense at one point, I've already talked to Fire Marshal Wilmot. He's happy to give the presentation at any time, anywhere, to anybody. If that's something that would be of value to the committee, I just put that out there, and that's all I wanted to offer.
Okay. Uh, yeah, maybe we can do that when we're in for one of our interim study bills that we have to do. That I'll get in touch with you and schedule it so that we can hear what has to be said.
I'd be happy to do that for you.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you, Representative.
Okay, now I'm ready.
I'd like to entertain a motion of ought to pass for amendment number 2022-1726H.
Do I have a second? Thank you. You want to say anything?
I believe that this amendment opens up the possibility of various federal funding as well as the public school infrastructure fund. And I think this is an area that it's new, and I think it deserves merit and investigation. And this provides that opportunity and to move away from fossil fuel.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 opposed. Okay, 5 to 2, the amendment passes. I will now entertain a motion for OTPA on 417. Mary?
Madam Chair?
Representative Heath?
I would move OTPA on Senate Bill 1417 as amended.
Are you ready?
second? Did we have a
Yes.
second?
Mary did, yeah, sorry.
Thank you. All right, OTPA. All right, Representative Peachy? No. Representative Lynn votes no. Representative Turcotte?
No.
Representative Bucco? Representative Heath?
Yes.
Representative Murray?
Yes.
Representative Umber?
Yes,
Chair, the vote is 4 to 3 in the affirmative.
thank you. Yes. No, for tomorrow. Will you take care of that? Okay, thank you. Okay. We now move to SB 401 with its 17 amendments, and I think we have one more. Right?
So I do have two from the department. Do you want both of them distributed?
Yeah, we'll do both. We'll look at both of them
Okay.
and make up our minds which one we want to look at. What? Oh. Sure. The one we just did? Oh. Yeah. I've got, yes, it's still here. 1708. Okay. That's still in play. Still in play. Okay. And then I have the one we heard this morning. 0221703. Okay. That's the one we had this morning. Okay. I think we currently have 2 amendments outstanding, which are 1708 and 1703. And then we just got these 2 here. No. Okay. All right. You want to just take a break and go get it? Sure. Okay. We'll just take a 3-minute recess while Representative Lynn gets a copy of the amendment. What? The one from this morning? Did you put it in your book, Tom, from this morning?
1703 or 1708? 1703. I do have it.
Oh, here, I'll give you mine.
Yeah. That's fine.
No, go run some copies.
Okay.
Because,
Yeah.
no, he's gonna go.
I'll run some copies.
I don't know how people lost it. This one is by Representative Jack. From Representative Jack. 1708. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good. Do we have enough copies of it? Okay. Okay. So Mickey, am I correct that we currently have 2 amendments on the table, or that we've talked about for 401, excluding these 2 new ones?
Yes, we have the one that Representative Jack provided,
Uh-huh.
and then we have the one we had the non-germane public hearing this morning, plus these 2. So in total now there's been 4.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
No, I want the one with the holes
Oh, what? There you go. You got it. And your note.
and my note. Okay. Okay. Does everybody have everything they need? Okay. Uh, let's do 17. These are actually going to be done in tandem, okay? Because what it is it's two different ways of allocating the money for the $36 million. And the allocation difference is in the bridge program. So if I could have my friends from transportation come in and join us. And Mickey is passing out for the committee a I guess we'll call it a merged thing, so you don't have to flip through all the pages to figure out where you are. So if you could kind of explain the difference of what the two amendments are looking to do, or however you want to go about it.
Yeah, so we were here at a work session last week and we talked about the state aid bridge program. Originally, in the original amendment, it was proposed that the 36 million go through the state aid bridge program. And we had testified that going through that program could take 3 to 5 years for the money to be spent. And the committee had indicated they wanted to be spent quicker, get to the municipalities quicker. So we went back and we looked at a couple of different scenarios on how to distribute the money back to the municipalities. And so the first amendment looks at it on a per capita.
Excuse me. Please do not look at the numbers yet until we understand what they mean, because you're liable to gulp
Yes.
as you're doing that. Okay? So please, we'll get to the numbers.
So
Joe.
the first amendment. So the First Amendment, 1749, distributes the funds on a per capita basis. So it takes the square footage of the deck area that each town has, and then based on their population, calculates on a per capita basis, and then distributes that 36 million based on the area per capita to each of the municipalities. So in this situation, the lower the population, generally, you're going to get more money for the bridges. The Second Amendment takes the 36 million and distributes it similarly to the block grant aid formula currently. The block grant aid formula currently, that the $30 million in the bill, and also in that bill in Section 2, that is done 50% based on population and 50% on the roadway in each city and town. This proposal in the Second Amendment would take it 50% on population and 50% on the municipal deck area square footage. So it looks at both of those at a 50% and then distributes it more similarly to how block grant aid is distributed. So you can see that there can, in the per capita basis, there can be some inequities there. You know, some of the larger towns with high populations maybe getting small money. The other way, you know, those larger towns and cities are getting, you know, a more proportional share to the, you know, equivalent of the size of their bridges and the number of bridges and that type of thing. But the department thinks it's more equitable with option 2, and our approach is it's similar to the block grant aid distribution. It's much easier to explain that way. That's how currently block grant aid goes out to the cities and towns, and utilizing that methodology appears to be the more equitable distribution from our perspective. But of course, that's up to the committee and how you would want to distribute it to the cities and towns.
Maybe you could explain your numbers here so that
So in the spreadsheet, it's alphabetical by the cities and towns. We have bridge count just as a reference, but we've taken the municipal deck area square footage of those bridges. The population is determined by the Office of Planning and Development, so we get that at January 1st of each year. So we're using those population numbers, and then calculate that area per capita and that distribution. And then option 2 takes the population as a percentage of the total, and the deck area as a percentage of the total, and then we take 50% of each of those to get a total distribution, and add those two together to get that total distribution in the final column under option 2. That's grade in.
Are there any questions? Go ahead, Representative Murray.
Thank you, Madam Chair. How do I know who owns what bridge? Because, you know, it's helps me understand. Newcastle has 2 bridges, but Newcastle's not here at all. So who owns the
Now,
2 Newcastle
these
bridges?
are municipal bridges
bridges.
only.
Okay,
So
thank
I apologize for not explaining that.
Thank
So any state-owned bridges would not be included here. These are only municipally owned bridges since the money is going out. And it was intended to go through that state aid bridge program, which are municipally owned.
Thank you for clearing.
You're welcome.
Also, turnpikes and railroad bridges would not be listed here.
Representative Bucco?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just, a question on the second formula is amendment number 1756. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yep, that's correct.
Thank you. It's hard to follow with a.
Did you have a question? Representative Heath?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So you recommend, no, I don't know if you recommend, but you're saying that option 2 might be the most efficient and expeditious way to get these funds out. Did I hear that correctly, or am I just jumping to that conclusion?
I think potentially the most equitable.
The most
Understanding
equitable.
the size of the bridges and the number of bridges in those towns, I think that option 2 may be the most equitable.
So that would mean accepting amendment 1756H.
Correct.
Thank you.
And like I said, it's similar to, it's pretty much the same formula as what we're already doing block grant as. So it's something that's been tried and true and we've been utilizing for many years with that block grant formula.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Do you take any account of the age of the bridges in the towns? Because if you've got new bridges, let's say you just did them, I mean, doesn't make sense to.
We
get
have not taken any of that into account, because of, knowing that we wanted to get the money out expeditiously to put in additional formulas and considerations we felt would hold up and not be able to get the money out as expeditiously. It would be a little more complicated. So we have not taken that into account.
If you remember, they testified whenever Monday, whatever Friday.
Yeah.
But
Friday, yeah.
there was a lot of extra money coming into the state aid bridge program. That's where you have a 20% match by the towns. Okay, so the towns can either fix their red listed bridges under this program if they choose, or they can fix them under the other program. So, it's it'll be up to each community to decide what bridges they need to repair. And I don't think I have driven across any town-owned bridges any place in the state that couldn't use some work. Maybe otherwise. So is there anybody that has a great affinity for option 1, which was amendment 1749?
Thank you. Can you walk me through the narrative, looking at the numbers? I guess this is apropos a smaller community, which may not have the same tax base as a larger community potentially. So when I'm looking at Orford, which is fairly small, it appears in option 1, there's 340,000, and in option 2, they go down to 73,000. In Portsmouth, which is considerably larger, in option 1, it's 148, and in option 2, it's 741,000, difference of 600, I guess I'm using thousand, I realize I'm, can you just talk me through both stories about how can I judge, given the big difference between these numbers and the size of the communities, which is more equitable?
That's why, I mean, it's a policy decision that you know, you can make, when you're looking at the number of bridges in that deck area. Orford has 13 bridges, 8,000. Who are you comparing it to? Portsmouth, which has 15 bridges, but 63,000 square feet of deck area. So you're talking about, you know, 4 times as much deck area. And they'd be getting half of that amount of money. So, I mean, the bridges are going to cost the same in each community. So I guess it's a policy decision whether you want more money to go to the smaller communities or you want it to be more equitable based on the population and the deck area, the size of these bridges that these communities have to repair and maintain.
I think when the department first came up with,
Kathy, bring it up.
sorry,
That's okay.
when the department came up with the first amendment, we were looking to give relief to the smaller towns, but then when we looked at the actual, what the distribution would be, it seemed like it went too far over in favor of the smaller towns because they didn't have the deck area, but they were raised by the low population. So larger cities and towns weren't getting money to meet the needs that the amount of bridge deck had versus the smaller towns, which didn't have much and were getting a lot more money. So it just didn't seem equitable from that perspective, which is why we tried the block grant aid formula.
Okay, so can I assume that we will just not take up amendment 1749? Everybody is in favor of the other methodology? Okay,
Thank you. Yeah, I think so. I was just going to ask, I'm assuming this is a nice, easy spreadsheet. Would it be, we'll continue on what we're doing today. Would it be possible have you do that with a 75-25?
And which 75?
75 by decks,
Deck.
25 by population, just for my own. Thank you.
We'll get that to you later today.
okay. So could I have a motion on 2022-1756?
So moved.
Thank you. Representative Turcott, seconds. All those in favor of amendment 2022-1756, please raise your hand. Okay, all right, done. That's one. Unfortunately, it's not one and done, okay? Now we go back to 1708.
Go on.
Okay.
Go on.
Now, in 1708, paragraph 1, we just changed by the new amendment we just passed. Okay, and then in 2, this is the normal distribution for roads. Okay, so So that one stays. Okay. And then 3 is the money for body-worn dashboard cameras. Where's the part, Marie? Where's the part that DOT wanted the, use the dash cams? Oh, highway surveillance. Prohibited exception for dash cameras in fleet vehicles. Please. Because I don't want to leave anything out. Yeah, this is, I want to make sure. Okay, okay. Okay,
Been in the mic. We don't have any amendments on section 4 at this time.
okay. All right. So if I'm correct, is paragraph 2 of the Jack amendment, does that replace paragraph 2 of the original bill?
Yes.
Okay, so this is out. The original bill is out and this is in. The
So
Jack.
if the division were to support sections 2 and 3, the appropriation with Representative Jack's amendment, you could just modify a vote, or if you want another piece of paper, actually have an amendment drafted with just, I assumed you were going to do something different with section 1, which we did.
Right.
So I do have another amendment that just have Representative Jack's sections for 2 and 3, if you want that.
Okay, but then where do we don't have 4.
4, we don't have an amendment to, because we're not amending it. So I'm gonna eventually string these amendments. So we're gonna at least have 2 amendments in all likelihood, and then we're gonna discuss the amendment that we heard this morning. So with multiple amendments being recommended, I'm just gonna string it for one committee amendment. Section 4 is not addressed at any point in any of these, so that's why you're not seeing it on the amendments.
Okay, but it will be when we, I mean,
It would be in the underlying bill as amended.
Okay.
If it's the committee's preference to see an amendment that replaces all with, and then you see it again, I can certainly draft it that way too.
I think it would be less confusing.
Okay. So when I do a
You know,
final
it's
division.
not just me.
Yeah.
It's, we got to get it through that other
Yep.
group
So-
of people.
So when we're completed our recommendations, we'll have multiple amendments in all likelihood and division. When I do string it, I'll do a replace all with, and it will still include section 4.
Okay, okay. Is there anybody that's opposed to doing that? That's a lot easier, I think. Okay. So,
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
So is my understanding on 1708, we would be voting to either approve or disapprove of this amendment absent section 1, since we just replaced section 1.
well, Mickey has
Yeah,
something.
or I can just kind of, we can forget 1708 if you want and
Yeah.
have a replacement for
Oh,
it.
gotcha.
Yeah, I can do
Okay.
that.
Very good.
All right. So this is out. 1708 is out. The whole thing. I know. This is This is kind of like when we're finalizing the HB2 and the budget, and you get 12,000 pieces of paper. No. No. This is taken out of the Jack Amendment, Section 1. That's not in here. Okay?
So what would happen is you've voted on 1756. If you accepted this, now you've taken care of sections 1, 2, and 3 of the bill. 4 is unchanged, and then it would be up for further amendment, which then we would discuss the amendment from this morning.
Can I see if I have that?
Certainly.
1756 replaces section 1.
No.
Okay.
Yes.
And then 1797 is going to replace 2 and 3,
That's correct.
and it's 4 is going to come back the way it was.
4 is going to come back in a new amendment that includes sections 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Right. Thank you.
And whatever we decide on Dixville Notch Road. Okay? So. All right. So, yeah. Could I have a motion on
1797.
17? Thank you. A second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. All right. That's 7-0. All right. Okay. Okay. Now we move to I want to say HB, but it's not. 2022 1703, which is the money for Gulf Links Road in Dixville, Colebrook. Okay. Are there... Well, welcome there, Mr. Cass. I haven't seen you in an age. We have all kinds of fun things going on today. Okay. Are there any questions? I have about 1 million, but... Well, let's do the questions first. Okay? Mr. Cass, thank you for coming, because I think you can answer my question. Sure. Yeah.
For the record, I'm William Cass, Assistant Commissioner for the DOT.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My question is, this road is currently a state road? Is that
Correct.
correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do we have any history as to how it became a state road in the middle of the Balsams? Don't say nowhere. Kind of like Twin Mountain. Okay.
I'm sure it goes well back to the 1920s and 1930s before Route 26 was built, and Cold Springs Road that goes around the north side or the back side of Lake Gloriette, where the Balsams is, was the state highway, and down over the hill and down over the dam. And Golf Links Road was off that, and there's an abandoned portion that loops back around to Diamond Pond Road. So I think back in the 20s, that was the roadway network up there before Route 26 and stuff was built. When Route 26 was built, those roads just continued to be classified as state highways. They were never abandoned or discontinued or turned over.
Okay. My second question deals with, it's apparent DOT does not want to use highway funds to repair this road. Is that a yes?
I would say that there would have to be choices. In the 10-year plan, the funds are all committed, so to put those funds towards something, something else would have to not be done in order to do this, in order to do Golf Links Road. So.
And the state could not put any criteria on it. Is it, like this amendment says you have to have the funding and you have to have this and you have to have that before you can proceed.
The legislature can. Previous 10-year plans had a condition in the 10-year plan about, the funding toward the construction of Golf Links Road.
Okay. 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 Are there any other specific questions that you have that were discussed this morning but not answered? Representative Lynn?
Can I ask a question? I have gotten at least some suggestion, not at the hearing, but from discussion with another representative afterwards, that there is some question or some feeling, perhaps in the North Country, that although this Balsam's development is very well intended and people want it to happen, that not much progress at all of it actually happening has occurred. And so I guess that would normally be a concern to me, but as I understand this proposal, the department wouldn't sort of be on the hook, so to speak, for the money unless all those other things actually did come together. And so, I mean, is that, and you've indicated that kind of thing has happened in the past in other, so, I mean, does that provide sort of sufficient protection to the department that you're not going to be dumping out $4.1 million if it turns out that Mr. Otten doesn't actually get the development going?
In previous 10-year plans, there was that condition that the funding for that project and the couldn't be spent until, I think the wording was, commercial activities commenced or something like that. I haven't seen that amendment. I've heard it discussed, and I think it is a little more specific in what needs to happen. But I think there's a fundamental discussion on whether it is the legislature's desire for the department to be with such caveats and protections to be spending highway funds for this purpose. If that is the desire and we are directed through the 10-year plan or something, we'll do so. I know there's also been discussion about should it be some other funding source that would
Right now, the way the
do
amendment
that.
is, it's general funds.
Oh, okay. There
Okay.
you go.
That would be,
And I didn't know if that was your question. I didn't
Yeah.
realize the amendment was general funds.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
yeah, so
So
that,
yes, it does offer those. I believe it does offer those protections. Then that's the desire to fund this. If the Balsam's project is going forward, then yes. Okay.
Representative Heath?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is it possible or feasible to use some of this infrastructure money coming in for this purpose, or is that not an allowable expense?
One of the concerns, I apologize because the speaker's in the way. Because of the classification of road, it's a non-federal aid eligible piece of highway, so federal funds cannot be spent on Golf Links Road. Yeah.
Okay, are there any other questions for Mr. Representative Bucco?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just, I know there's particular provisions of this amendment that could be improved. However, this project has potential to be an economic driver for the whole northern half of the state, not just Colebrook or the particular town, but for the whole area. And if this putting this road in would be an incentive to get the financing package back together, I tend to support it. And that's, I think, what I'm going to do. Thank you.
Pardon?
Are you all set with me?
No,
Oh.
I have another. No, this has nothing to do with this road. Can you tell me or have someone call me about when the state property that was taken for the bypass is going to be available for sale? Because everybody I have discussed it with, they say, well, nobody seems to know. And I know that, we owe how much? $90 million? Some exorbitant amount of money back to the feds.
28.
28. Yeah, that's the right number. 28 million
Marie,
that we owe back to the feds. So, maybe the 3 million we could get for the property would help.
I can get you a list. I know some of the sales are proceeding, that they're taking kind of parcel by parcel, depending on the most marketable and the most interest. So I know we've had some action around Schema Beer Lane. There's been some other isolated parcels that we've been working with. It's been expressed interest from Coleman and others. So we tried to focus on the more marketable pieces of the bypass. So I can get you a summary or something, but some are in the works, some have already gone forward. So it is going forward, trying to market and sell the remnant pieces of the Conway bypass.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, by the way, when we do the budget, we'll have to put money in there. We didn't pay all that off, did we? Last time, or did we? We paid it all off last time?
Well, it's not all paid off. We have we have a plan, a graduated plan over 3 years to pay
Okay.
back Federal Highway. So it's not coming all at once.
Yeah. Okay, sorry for the
That's okay.
kind of off the wall question, but I would appreciate that.
Yep.
And if someone wants a piece of property, they just let you know.
That'd be one way. Most of the properties that aren't contiguous, there are certain parcels that really only have value or benefit to an immediate abutter because of access and other things. Any of the ones that are marketable, we typically work through a realtor to market and sell. So through either contacting us or through the realtor that's marketing the property, if somebody's interested, they can get in touch that way.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Anything else? We'll be looking forward to seeing you on May 9th. So when you're coming up for the roundabout at the police station? I think that was the date I wrote down.
I can be. I'm not sure.
Oh.
I'm not. The department probably is. I'm not sure if I am.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Okay, thank you.
Good. Thank you.
All right. Oh, okay. Yeah, May 9th at 6 p.m. Yeah. Okay. So, Representative Turcott, you wanted to make some comments?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I would like to. Having heard this information today, really for the first time, really, and for me, creates as many questions as there are answers. We learned that both the Senate and the House felt this road shouldn't be in the 10-year plan. That was pretty instructive to me. Some of the language in the bill I find a little bit too vague. Financing must be sufficient. You know, what's that mean? Sufficient to what? That's not very specific. The other thing, when we calculate 4 million, when you're talking about a $200 million project, that's about 2% of a project. I find it, since the Senate and the House has already found that we shouldn't be fixing that road or using our money in the 10-year plan, I find it, I don't see a reason why we should be doing that.
If,
Now,
just a minute, if I could,
I understand.
yeah, Mr. Cass, would you mind explaining about roads that are currently state roads, but you want to get rid of them? You know? And I think that, and I ask this question because I think it will help you understand. Okay, maybe not. I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but I just want to make sure that everybody knows what this is all about.
So typically, if we're going to abandon or reclassify a road, it's called discontinuing a road. In other words, we divest ourselves and say it has no more use as part of the state highway system, so we discontinue it. Typically, that discontinuance would go first to the town, or in the case of Dixville, where there isn't an incorporated town, it would go to the county. Actually, I think parts of the road are in Colebrook, so between Colebrook and Coas County, serving as the administrative body for Dixville Notch, they would have to determine whether it is of interest to the municipality. And if they wouldn't, then they would also discontinue any municipal interests in it, and it would then revert to the underlying property owner. A lot of times when we either discontinue or reclassify a road, it's going to be a class 4 road. We're doing that currently, or we've done that currently in Berwyn, a section of 110. I think part of the what we've typically tried to do is do some sort of maintenance upgrade so it's turned over to the town in a reasonable or serviceable condition. And back five or so years ago, when this Golf Links Road project was first brokered or entered into the 10-year plan, that was kind of the philosophy behind it, that we would upgrade Golf Links Road in order to turn it over and get it off the state's books. So that principle of leaving a road in a serviceable condition is kind of what we typically try to do. If it is going to be, that's typically if it's going to be a municipal road.
Or
something.
county road.
Or county road, right.
Okay. Okay.
Does that help? I don't know if that was your questions, but.
It's additional information. It
Okay.
doesn't make the point I was going to make, but it's helpful.
Yeah.
So what I was
Continue.
thank you. My point where I was going with this is there are many ways to skin the cat. I think attorneys at the DOT or attorneys in the House, or by doing legislation, I'm sure we could come up with a way on a one-time basis that this road could be transferred eventually to the developer if that was the desire of the legislature to do so. The problem I have is spending taxpayers' monies for $4 million to upgrade a road that the developer himself believes, and don't get me wrong, I'm all for development, and you guys fix up this road and you put some house lots up there, I'll come up and look one, maybe I'll even buy one. But when you're developing a road like that, $4 million, where it represents less than 2% of the total project, and in the end, if it is developed properly, with house lots for second homes and all that, that money's going to be recouped quite nicely. So I guess I'm just saying, I think there are other ways to do this without the state first putting $4 million into the project and then handing it over. I think there are other ways that we could probably find a way to hand that road over and let the developer be responsible for the development of it. Thank you.
Are there further comments? Representative Heath?
My question is one, simply to ask, how much would it cost to make that road ready to turn over?
That's the 4.1.
That's the $4.1 million. Thank you.
The estimated cost. I mean, you know, it could be 2 million, or it could be, the state is only, in this, we're only ever going to be responsible for 4.1, no matter what happens with inflation.
I just had one other comment that I had written down, and that is the state of the project right now. I mean, I know everybody's excited about it coming up and being developed, but it's still really at the infancy. So to be tossing another potential 4 million at some roads, and I know there are some caveats in there, but I'm still hesitant to do that. Thank you.
Representative Petrie?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Will this do the road that's gravel now? So in other words, no, but the whole road will be taken over by the town or whoever, or the county?
If I understood what the commissioner said, there is a portion of dirt road in Colebrook that Colebrook will do something about. Is that correct?
We've
Come-
already transferred it over.
Come on, come on up.
Commissioner Gorman, the town of Colebrook worked with Mr. Otten several years ago because it's been going on for a while. The dirt road section, that what I call the right off from just before the country club, the town of Colebrook has already worked with developer Otten to turn that section of road over to him.
Okay.
So we would be looking for the state to do as the process I believe is set up now, that the state would do its obligations, fix up the road. And I believe the process will be that they'll turn it over to the town of Colebrook and the county. I think I can speak as a selectman and as a commissioner. We would then do the process of turning it over to the developer. That's how I see this happening, the way it's being proposed at the moment.
Okay.
So, any other questions?
So you mentioned, yeah, just a second. You mentioned this morning about a dirt road in Colebrook. Is Colebrook going to put that road to?
It was good enough for what they needed and what they've been using for the last few years. I think part of the situation with the reason we did it, part of it as quickly, was the plans to put the real estate in there. They wanted to put side roads. They wanted to do things differently. So by us doing what we needed to do to turn it over, all right, they're still going to come in, that end of the golf course will still come into the town of Colebrook's road, town road. Okay.
And that the town road is dirt.
There's part of it that there still will be, we own. It's not on the Balsams property per se. What was on the Balsams property, we got it set to the way that
Yeah,
the condition.
I got all that.
Okay.
I'm talking about, is Colebrook planning to upgrade that road that's in Colebrook?
That's a possibility. If the traffic increases and so on and so forth, we'll see what the future brings. If we need to widen the road or do better job of culverts, we will do it. If there's real estate development and it is a town road, we will do what is responsible.
Okay. Okay.
We're very, very committed to this. The economics for us on this is huge, huge, huge. I can't say it enough.
Got it. Got it. Is there anyone else? Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. you can certainly make two.
I did speak to Mr. Otten while you guys were having lunch. And I think Commissioner Cass, back when these negotiations were done in 14 and 15, as I understand it, it was part of a bigger situation. For example, the state had owned the Ballsons property, garages for their vehicles, and a place for salt and sand. And it's part of this whole thing. The state would turn over the road to the county, then to the developer. The developer would then continue to maintain the road. And then the developer would, and has actually, given property to the state at the bottom of the property now in order to do their vehicle, keep a garage for their vehicles, their sand and their salt. It was up on Spur Road, which was a little, if you've been to the Ballsons, it was a little bit farther up there. He then deeded them property down below as part of this bigger situation. I think there's a lot of moving parts with, I think, with DOT. So to your question, the developer has already given land to the state at no charge, and where they are now housing DOT vehicles, salt and sand, et cetera. And all we're looking for in this is really just for the state to get the road not up to the standards that we have now, but I think it's an 18-foot road. I think it's maybe an 18-foot road, and it's just getting it back. I think now you have to be 24 feet or 22 feet, but it's getting it back to just being surfaceable and usable. And when you think about it, if the state decided to keep the road, they've got to go through private property. I mean, if they don't turn it over, the whole thing's really complicated. So I think, yeah, it's just a lot of moving parts. So I think this, from the state's perspective, as Mr. Otten said, they're the ones who said best thing to do was put it in the 10-year plan. It makes sense they took it out because they took it out during COVID. Nothing was moving. And why hold up money when you can do other projects? And now that COVID hopefully is over, and the financing looks like it's closer to being in place, it made sense to look at it through general funds if you have the money. And let me be clear, if we've done our job, meaning the financing and the permitting, and it's very clear in there, we have to have secured financing. I'd be happy, and did I misspeak? Did I get that right? I might not. You may? Yeah, you may, because you were there.
There is, you're right, I forgot about.
Yeah, you might.
There was an exchange, there was an exchange for the patrol shed that's there. So we have a building where we have 2 bays where we keep a truck that helps maintain the notch. So it's our building, but it is on the Balsam's property. And like I said, the historic handshake agreements between why it's still a state road and stuff lingers to this day. But we did negotiate a transaction with Mr. Otten and the Balsam. So there was a piece of land on Valley Road where we're going to be building a new patrol shed. It was just awarded. The bids were just open. It's going to be awarded at the next governing council. In exchange for that, we negotiated an easement for the water line that's through our that's coming through our patrol shed property down in Errol. So it wasn't so that was a little bit separate, but it is a lot of interrelated parts. You are correct. Yeah.
And I think, as Mr. Otten said, all of these various transactions are separate, but it was all part of an overall negotiation and conversation with DOT as to how we meet their needs, meet our needs, and we get the state more money from BPT.
Mr. Tillison certainly did some interesting things in his life. Yes, go ahead.
This for Mr. Cass. this amendment says that the Department of Transportation will do the construction. So does that mean that this road is gonna be built up to current standards? Okay, well, I just heard, I'm gonna follow up. I just heard that it was just gonna be, you know, serviceable at the surface, and it's gonna need more gravel and stone underneath, so that it's comes up to standard. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, that's okay. I'm sorry for jumping, Jack.
We had developed a project in 2016 that we were ready to bid. And it called for, I think, reclaiming the pavement surface, putting in some drainage. It wasn't complete reconstruction of the road. And when we say up to standards, it was the standards of, I believe Ms. Rosenberg said 18, I forget, it was either 16 or 18 feet. It wasn't, it was more of like a park road typical than a state highway type of typical, but it did involve a reclaimed surface and repaving with some drainage additions to make it functional. That was the plan that we had been prepared to bid, and I believe that would still be the plan that we would put forward if it was funded. And that's what the cost estimate that you have been referring to reflects.
Follow up.
Sure.
So will the road hold up being under those conditions?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anything else? I'm sorry that we've had you jumping up
That's
and
fine.
down. Appreciate it. Representative Murray.
Thank you. Just a comment, although I appreciate my buddy's considerations here. I like to think of this as an economic driver for the North Country. And I don't like to think of it just as a project pertaining to the Balsams, but that it's a project that will benefit all of the North Country. And it seems to me an appropriate thing that we should be able to do to support the North Country, and that we're not on the hook for anything unless all these benchmarks are met.
Representative Lynn.
I have to say, if I looked at this purely from an economic perspective, it's hard to argue with Representative Turcotte's perspective on this. And I'm probably talking more from my heart than my head, but I do tend to agree with Representative Murray that this is an economic development for the North Country in some sense. And I think, hopefully this goes off. As I said, I've heard some people express doubts about whether it actually will ever get off the ground further than it has, but the North Country needs this development, and I'm hoping it will. And to the extent this can help it, and I think there are sufficient safeguards in place, so I'm going to vote for it.
Okay, question. How many people on the committee are golfers? Doesn't matter. Okay, so we want an invitation to play golf on this, since,
We can pull that off easily.
okay,
Get your cart and everything else. How's that sound?
Okay.
Lunch, I can go off. I'll give you a scenic ride. We'll make it work.
okay, I can't take bribes.
I'm sorry. That's my service background.
Yeah, yes, it's all recorded. That's why I made the comment on it. But anyhow, okay, so, is there any other discussion? Okay. Could I please have a motion?
Representative, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Can I just make one comment just
Sure.
to make sure that the amendment does what the committee's looking to do here? So on the appropriation on Roman 4 on line 23 of this amendment, I think the intent here is to cap this at $4.1 million of total costs, with it being an open warrant. So not necessarily appropriating $4.1 million in any given year.
Right.
The only thing I just point out is it does explicitly say construction costs shall not exceed 4.1 million, but the open warrant seems to be for construction costs and other project expenses. So I think you'd want to just reconcile that terminology in that section, just so it's clear that it is a cap of total costs at 4.1 million.
Okay, so we need an amendment.
Yeah, I think so, which we're doing one anyways
Okay.
for all this. So I'm just thinking that's a pretty, a clerical thing I can just clean up here.
Okay,
So what I would suggest is on line 23, have it say construction costs and other project expenses shall not exceed 4.1 million. Just,
okay. I agree. Okay. So we'll deal with this on tomorrow. There was nothing else I needed on this amendment, right? No, because we're getting a new amendment.
you can do a committee vote on this and even take a vote on me stringing the 3 separate amendments together, and then I can provide it similar to how I did with Senate Bill 420 yesterday, if that works for the committee.
That's fine with me. So does somebody want? Okay, thank you. And seconded by Representative Heath. Okay, well, let's do the amendment first, okay? Then, yeah. Okay. All those in favor of Amendment 2022-1703 with changes to line 25. Is that correct, Mickey?
Line 23, I think we'd add
okay.
construction costs and other project costs right at the
Okay.
beginning there.
Line 23. All right. Yep.
Along those lines, Mickey, construction costs and other project expenses, that seems a little overly broad. Could you tighten that up so it actually applies to the road and not other potential projects associated with? I know this says to project number 50 or 40518, but when it says other project expenses, that's
We can make it, we can say for the project referred in this
Thank you.
section, we can come up,
Thank
just so it's clear that it's confined to this project.
Yeah, I assume there'd be some engineering costs. I don't know what else there might be, but. Okay. All those in favor? Okay, 6-1. Thank you. And now I'll take the, what do we want to call it, Mickey? Stringing together?
Sure. And just because I want to complicate things a little bit more for you, on 1756 that we adopted earlier, the 36 million, the proposal the department walked us through.
Yep.
I just want to add a couple words in there to make it clear that the half that would go and be allocated based on a municipality's population, that is for municipalities with a municipal bridge, just so it's clear that it's targeted for municipalities that actually do have a municipal owned bridge.
Okay.
So
Is there I guess Newcastle didn't have any bridges.
so I just
Okay.
wanted to get that on the record, so when you do see
Yep.
the combined amendment, that'll be
Okay.
fixed.
So what we're doing is that we're asking LBA to put together an amendment that combines all of these individual amendments into one new amendment.
And
Okay. Okay.
And that strung along amendment, that's going to replace the entire bill.
That's correct.
with section 4 remaining as it is in the underlying bill, because we didn't amend that in any way, but I will present it again in the bill so everyone knows what the entire bill does.
Yeah.
So that when we vote tomorrow on the amendment, we will have voted on the complete bill. Okay, all right.
Okay. Did you get that motion?
I did, yes. I did.
Okay. All right. So, all those in favor of the LBA preparing this amendment with all of the amendments, please raise your hand. Yeah. No, this is not a Christmas tree. There's nothing in here that doesn't deal with roads and bridges and body cameras or whatever. No. Oh dear. Okay, thank you. We will now move to SB 442. That must be. Yeah. Joe, will you take over? I need to go find my bills that I don't seem to have here.
Which?
No, no, mine are on the table. Yeah, 442.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Somebody want to speak to, Bill 442? State Police, no? Anyone? DOT? Ah, there we go.
Good
Okay.
afternoon again. Kathy Mulcahy, Hampton. My privilege to appear for you on behalf of the Department of Transportation. And with me is Mr. John Corcoran, who is the administrator for the Bureau of Turnpikes. The turnpike system is maintained and operated with toll revenue, so there's a great need to keep the toll collection system fair, uniform, and credible. And that means when someone chooses to use the turnpike system, they must pay for the toll or they have to use an alternative toll-free road. The purpose of Senate Bill 442 is to close the loophole for toll evaders. Better toll collection enforcement in dealing with those who choose to use the turnpike without paying the toll has set us on this road to ask for 2 enforcement changes. First, I'd like to explain how the Easy Pass system, the toll collection system, works so you can understand what we're asking for. The toll is supposed to be paid at the time of use, whether you use the cash lane or you have an Easy Pass account with the transponder. It's paid at the time of use. If you don't pay at the time of use, there is an option to go online and pay within 7 days. You only have to pay the toll. There's no fee. If you don't pay within the 7 days, we begin an invoicing process. We send a first invoice requesting payment of the toll plus a $1 fee. If that's not paid in 30 days, we send a second invoice asking for payment of the toll plus a $1.50 fee. If that second invoice isn't paid in 30 days, the matter escalates to a violation, and we send a third notice requesting payment of the toll plus a $25 fee. So you're getting 3 notices to pay this toll if you haven't paid at the time of use or within the first 7 days. When someone has 10 or more violations, that is, they've gotten those 3 notices, they know they have a violation, and when they have 10 or more of those violations, they become eligible for Dmv Hold. And that means they can't re-register their vehicle when their birth month rolls around. Before anything happens to that person, when they have 10 or more violations, our folks at Turnpikes reach out to them, say you have a significant number of violations and we'd like to help you clear those up. If they're not cleared up, we send their plate information to our partners over at the Department of Safety, and the Department of Safety issues a letter, another notice, and it says you have 30 days to clear up your violations or you're in Dmv Hold and you can't re-register your vehicle when your birth month rolls around. So a lot of people are willing to clear that up before they get to Dmv Hold. Some get nervous when they get the DMV letter. But some people are in Dmv Hold and they're waiting for their birth month to roll around, and then they find out they can't register their vehicle. The reason we're seeking the 2 changes, the first change would be that instead of denial of re-registration privileges in their birth month, the suspension of their registration privilege would happen the 31st day after they receive the DMV notice. I have people who continue to violate for 11 months after they're in Dmv Hold, and then they call up and they complain, why'd you let my total get so high? We don't have a magnet to take their car off the road and move them. We can't prevent them from not using the road. If their registration is suspended on day 31, that's an effective tool to keep them off the road, because that's an expensive proposition to keep driving your car when you're under suspension. The second change we're asking for is because we have some creative toll evaders. In the past, they have, when they go to register their car and they can't, they would get a new plate and circumvent the DMV hold process. So we closed that loophole. Now what's been happening is they transfer ownership of the vehicle. So the husband goes in to register his car, he can't because he's in DMV hold, so he transfers the vehicle to his wife or an adult son. So we're in this, the second part of this bill, we're asking that someone in DMV hold is prohibited from transferring their vehicle to a family member or someone else who lives at the same address with them, which is likely going to be a significant other or relative or close friend. So in summary, we're asking for these two changes for more effective toll collection, the suspension of registration privileges, and the prohibition on transfer of the vehicle when they're in DMV hold. And we'd be happy to take any questions you have.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Kathy, thank you. So the DMV hold, you already have the authority to suspend the registration. You're just trying to move the dates up.
We moved the date up, right, and so it happens sooner.
Okay.
And then they're not continuing to incur more violations for the next, 9 months or 11 months, however long it is till their birth month occurs.
No, thank you. When I first looked at it, it looked like it was a new authority that you.
It's similar authority, but it's more imminent. It happens sooner.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for taking my question. How do you catch them when you negate their registration?
If their registration privileges are suspended, then it would be a police officer or state police that when they're driving, they might get stopped for a taillight or another violation, or the police officer might run the plate for some reason and they find out the registration suspended.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just a question. I see, I understand the prohibition on transferring the registration to someone with the same address, but this also says to a family member. And how will you know if it's a family member if the person has a different last name, for example?
We won't know. So it's not a catch-all, but it is an improvement. If a husband's transferring to wife, they can stop that. And if it's somebody with a different last name, but at the same address, they can stop that. If it's,
Okay.
We're not going to catch everybody, but this does limit it.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to put this out there. I think I know how I guess two things. I worry, and I'm not very worried about it, but I do have to say I'm a little bit worried about people who lose their ability to get to work. And it can be for a variety of reasons, most of them probably not very good. But is there a way of negotiating with you when they're in kind of this fix? And I totally agree, they should not be so far down the road here, as it were, that they get into this much trouble. But can you just speak to that? And the other question I had, you said you have if you go through the toll and you didn't pay, that you have 7 days in which you can go online to do that. My legislative orange thing often just never worked, and so alarms are going off. I never knew what to do about that. So how would someone know that they can go online and figure out how to pay?
So there are signs at the toll facilities that instruct you don't have Easy Pass, and it gives you, the address to go online to pay. As a legislator, you should not have to go online to pay, and we should get you a new transponder that works properly.
No, it was fine, and they told
Okay.
me I had to put it in a better place, and it
Oh.
did not bother me. But I'm thinking I'm probably not the only one who would do that. But it was, it just set off alarms, and I was embarrassed. So.
And to your first question, we work with people all the time to resolve the fees. They incur a lot of fees. If they've been driving, 2 or 3 years without paying their tolls, they incur quite a lot of fees. And obviously, you're not going to be able to collect that at $25. And John has a whole team over at Turnpikes that work with these people to resolve them.
Yeah, how much money do you lose every year to non-payers or evaders? Do you figure?
So
And that's a collection cost too.
yeah, our collection costs are all paid for and we come out ahead of the collection costs, so we're not in the hole at all for collection costs. But we're hoping that these more imminent steps will cut down on some of the steps in collection and we'll be able to collect sooner, which adds to revenue and takes away some collection costs, but because it's time of our people.
Do you have a number that, what you lose in evaders,
Number,
money-wise?
no, we, as Kathy mentioned, all our staff and all our work that we do and the money we collect, we break even, we're above. So we don't lose any money.
So you don't lose any money. Thank you.
If I could. Although you don't lose money, the state loses money because you're not collecting the tolls. Is that correct? If people are evading the tolls and you have $20,000 that's evaded, that's $20,000 less that comes into the state.
Correct, but I think we always
We don't-
stay ahead of that, collecting the tolls and the fees, so we're not losing money. Could we not be spending as much on collection? Yes, and that's what we're hoping to do with these steps.
We always collect all the tolls,
Yeah, make sure. Well, you do if they pay.
if they pay, yes.
If they don't pay, then you don't collect them.
In the fees that we collect off the, the whole process, we're still above,
Yeah, I got that.
so.
Okay, thank you.
Just one more question. You in the bill that there's a you've set out a schedule of fines, or authorize the commissioner, I guess, to establish a schedule of fines. And I guess my only question is, am I understanding correctly that if a person pays the fines, do they then get their registration back, or is there another fee that they have to pay to get the registration back?
So, that's a good question, and there's sometimes confusion on this. The statute that's being amended is actually a Department of Safety statute, not a Department of Transportation statute.
Okay.
So, because Department of Safety, our partners over there, implement the Dmv Hold, they're in charge of registration and licenses, and so they implement the hold. We send the plate information over, and they implement the hold. When it talks about the director, on line 24,
Yeah.
it's referring to the director of DMV. And DMV has fees that they impose to reinstate your registration privileges. And I know from working with them, the violators have to pay the tolls and the fees, whatever they work out with us. If they're in DMV Hold, now they have to go to DMV to register their vehicle, and they have to pay a fee to DMV to reinstate those privileges. The fee is normally $50. So the fees that are set forth in here are actually DMV fees, but I know from working with DMV and the violators that the fee for reinstatement is $50.
Anybody else? What would you like to do? Would you like to pass? Okay, I need a motion to Senate Bill 442.
Motion to, is that as amended or just straight up?
That's straight up.
Speak forth,
In a second.
42.
Representative Heath. By show of hands, all. No?
You have to do a roll call.
Oh, that's right.
Okay. Yep.
Do it quick. You'll miss them all.
This is on 422.
442. Yeah.
All right, on Senate Bill 442, ought to pass. Representative Beecher.
Yes.
Yes.
Representative Bucco.
Yes.
Representative Heath. Representative Murray,
Yes.
Representative Umberger.
Yes,
Madam Chair, the vote is 7-0 in favor.
thank you very much. So, Len, will you do the blurb on this? The blurb, the report? Okay, thank you. Okay. We are, excuse me, Lieutenant, did you want to talk? You've been sitting here all this time. Oh, okay, anytime, we're here. It seems like we're here. Okay, now we move to Senate Bill 346.
Hmm. 42.
Okay.
All right. 346. Okay.
Don't fall asleep. Hey,
Wow. You just had your freebie bill.
that's right. We had our freebie bill. Yeah. And look at this. We only have one person that is joining us. Poor Phil. And since we now own cultural and natural resources, this is the first time that Mr. Bryce has been before our committee, and we would like to welcome you to that. And I hope you have enjoyed listening to us. We are very serious, okay? Why is everyone laughing? Okay, what this amendment does is the bill itself appropriated the money directly to the Hampton Beach Area Commission. And we didn't think it was right not to go through a state agency, unless we don't know, but that's what the amendment does. So, Mr. Bryce, did you want to say anything?
Good afternoon. Philip Bryce, Director of the Division of Parks and Recreation in DNCR. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to this. The Hampton Beach Area Commission, originally the bill was to have DES do a study, and we all agreed that they're probably not the appropriate entity, and so the bill was amended to go to the Hampton Beach Area Commission, which is a group of folks, the town and organizations in the community. We have a very active partnership out at Hampton, and the commission would ensure that that connection to the community is made, because obviously any type of investment like this would have an impact on the community with fire and with police. Because of the addition of this structure. They are authorized in statute and we're very involved, of course, in the development of the new $14.5 million facility out there, which has been extraordinarily successful. So we support them working on doing this. I've been in regular contact with former Senator Stiles, who regrets that she can't be here. She had to fly out of state to help take care of a friend and was hoping to get back in time for this, but is on her way back from Logan, and suggested that if you needed to she could be available tomorrow if you did want to follow up with her. But we're very supportive of the amount of funding, because we imagine this will be a reasonably substantial investment that requires thorough study, because of course the weather and the ocean is can be quite a force out there, as we know firsthand from our experience. But we also agree that a pier would be a wonderful attraction to the seacoast, and it's something that is not currently there, that you do have other, if it is possible to construct, you have in other parts of the eastern seaboard.
Yeah, I don't think any of us have any problem with what we're trying to accomplish. We just wanted to have the money flow through Department of Natural and Cultural Resources, or Cultural and Natural Resources. So
Yeah. Could we then, do you know if we could then allow part of it was we are really flat out straight working on the ARPA funding that you all gave us. And this was a way of turning a project over to another entity to follow up on. We're really kind of actually stressed quite a bit with trying to get that money contracted and spent. And I know certainly former Senator Stiles and John Nyan, also with the chamber, are committed to getting out there and hire somebody and get something going so they can put their feet on the ground to get this done. So we were very supportive of the commission go ahead and doing this. They do exist in statute. We are on the commission, and we worked with former Senator Stiles many years, and very trusting that she is going to be able to pull this off. I'm a little concerned whether or not we would be able to get it done in the time frame.
I don't think this is requiring you to do anything other than to accept the money and give it to the Hampton Beach Commission. That's right, Mickey? That's all. There's no work required of you. It's just the matter of the money going through a state agency as opposed to directly to
the commission.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And are we all square that is going to work in the business process?
No.
And can I ask?
There would be no reason to have to come back to the GNC. This is just a feasibility study that we're giving them the authority to do. We're giving them the money so that Hampton, because we're not taking out anything that's in the first paragraph. All we're doing is sending the money to. Yes.
It's a straight pass-through of the entire amount. The Natural and Cultural Resources won't take an administrative fee from it, so they'll get the full amount.
It's general fund dollars, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I just ask really a question of the chair? I have no problem with it. I guess I'm just not quite. It sort of seems like we're saying, and we're going to write two checks. In other words, so the legislature is going to write a check, so to speak, to the state agency, and the state agency is going to write a check to the town. Why isn't it easier to just write a check to the town?
It's because the state doesn't. We would, if we put in legislation that Representative Lynn would get $100,000. Okay, that would have to flow through some body, some state agency.
I see what you mean. Somebody does. Somebody has to write the check, and we're not going to write it ourselves. I got it. Thank you.
So if I may, just to clarify, so it is unusual that we would appropriate money to a non-state entity. So that when the bill came to us, the direct appropriation was to the Hampton Beach Area Commission. So we just selected the most logical agency to just have the funds flow through. So in the appropriation statement, you would see an appropriation for cultural and natural resources for this purpose to disperse out.
I don't think so.
I didn't hear the question, I'm sorry. No, so section 1 of this bill is unchanged by this amendment that still requires the Hampton Beach Area Commission to conduct the feasibility study. There's no responsibility here for the department besides one disbursement.
Okay.
Yes, if that is the appropriate way to disperse these funds, then, and then we'll confirm if there's any other process, but hopefully not. The money can just be sent to the agency and then forwarded along to the commission.
Right. Okay. Do I have a motion on amendment 2022-1767?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. That's 7-0.
May I add my thanks for helping, the help you did in navigating tourism through COVID along the seacoast. We had our Zoom meetings with Senator Sherman, and so I really appreciate you had a lot to deal with Massachusetts on one end and Maine at the other, and thank you for helping to navigate tourism during that time.
Okay. Could I have a OTPA, please? Okay.
Wait a minute, 1 second.
Oh, okay.
So, sorry to, I'm trying to fix a lot of things right now, and one that just jumped out at me at this moment. So
Oh.
the content of the amendment is fine. If you look at the bill title, the way it came over from the Senate, it says requiring the Department of Environmental Services to conduct a feasibility study. That was the title of this bill as introduced. The Senate amended it to take DES out of it. However, when that amendment was drafted to do that, they never amended the bill title. And this amendment that I just gave you here that we are good with also doesn't. So I feel like we should probably clean up the bill title. So I can draft, I think you can carry out your work and I can have an amendment and I'll send it to you tonight that is this exact content just with a fixed bill title. I think you can. Just know that the number is going to change, but it's, yes, the title and the number will change, but the content of the amendment will be unchanged.
You know, did I have that correct? It was moved by Representative Murray and seconded by Representative Heath. Is that correct? Oh, I'm sorry. E3, okay.
Doesn't matter.
All right. All right. So this is a motion of ought to pass as amended on Senate Bill 346 FN. Representative Petrie.
Yes.
Representative Lynn votes yes. Representative Turcotte.
Yes.
Representative Bucco.
Yes.
Representative Heath. Yes. Representative Murray.
Yes.
Representative Umber.
Yes.
Madam Chair, the vote is 7-0 in the affirmative.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Does anybody want to jump forward on doing the blurb?
Sure, I'll do the,
Okay.
well, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do the blurb. Sure.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
1 second.
All right. So I've got Len on SB 442. We still have work to do on 401. And SB 417, I'll do that blurb as well. Oh, you did. Mary did. Okay. Thank you. Okay. I do have a request that we reconsider SB 381, which is dealing with the special ed something
The
or other.
advocate.
Advocate, okay? And so I would like if I could have a second. 381. Okay, and I'll second it. To reconsider this and hear it tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Does that work?
Not for me.
How long is that going to last? All day?
Not all day, but it'll be a while.
No, because I don't have the information. I know, but we have to have our we have to have all our stuff done before that. 1 o'clock.
Yeah. Yeah, we can try, sure, let's try it.
Well, let's see. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got a quorum. Yeah.
Oh, for 10, so you're gonna do it at 10?
Yeah,
Right.
because
No,
because we've got that one. We've got 396, right? That we have.
We 394.
394.
We could do that. We could do that now. I believe we recessed to now with that one, and I have the amendment that I emailed last night, so you could
Okay.
close that one out if you'd like.
Yeah, let's. 394. Thank you.
So this amendment from our conversation yesterday on line 10, you'll see we added to clarify that it's until their 22nd birthday. On line 16, we deleted the last sentence relative to the reference to RSA 171A, I believe it was, the developmental disability services. And then down in the second paragraph, I added some language that would take that would allow for the department to draw a warrant if the funds that we've identified for this are insufficient.
Sure.
Still, now we eliminated the section about the adult services. And the reason we did that was because remember there was a section about this action should negate the ability to access the adult services.
Hold on, let me.
No, we had struck that.
Right, but I'm just asking why.
I think there was concern about the amendment. The first draft of the amendment spoke to that the provisions of such services does not obviate adult developmental disability service for which a student over 21 may qualify. I think there was a concern of how it said may qualify. I'd have to, that was the discussion from yesterday to remember the specifics, but I remember that Attorney Zellen and the lady's name escapes me now. This was their preference on this.
Rosenberger, I think, wasn't it Rosenberger?
No, it was Attorney Zellen, because my concern is that in Senator Khan's amendment, he wanted to make sure that this action didn't negate the capacity of the adult service agency to get the services. And she talked to the two, they kind of should
but-
abut each other.
But The reason we took it out is because that is the normal process,
It is,
okay?
and that's what it should be.
And that's what it should be,
So we don't address it.
right?
Okay.
And if you recall, they had a handwritten,
Yeah.
some language that they said if you kept that in, consider this, but if you take that out, we don't need this. So that's, yeah. Yep.
Yes,
The amendment that we're considering is 1770?
that's correct.
So there was another one here. Did we do anything with this 1731?
It's gone.
It's gone? Okay, thank you. Too many amendments. Gone.
This replaces that.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
714 is gone too. 731 replaced 714, and now 770 is replacing 731.
So, Madam
Yes.
Chairman, I just make a comment. I guess I just want to make sure my understanding of what we did yesterday is a little bit different, and I just want to make sure that that nobody's sort of voting under a misapprehension. I thought that what Mr. Zellen, and I thought her name was Rosenberg. Yeah. No, Rosenberg from the Disabilities Rights. Right. Yeah, just, I thought that they both said at the end that they wanted to take out the language which was taken out because right now I thought that the Department of Education, I'm sorry, DHHS was taking the position that if somebody was getting special education services, they would not get developmental disability services, and the Disabilities Rights Center had a lawsuit in the process going because of that, and they were concerned that we should just not say anything in here about that, and so that's why I think we took it out. So I think that to the extent you were thinking that they will get the services, I think right now it would only be if the court says they should, as I understand it. Oh.
Please turn your mic on.
The federal IDEA legislation requires that transition, and for the services to begin to abut. So I'm thinking that what Mickey said was it already is, and so we just need to be silent on it because it is what it's supposed to be happening, and we don't want to do anything else to draw attention to it, or we just need to leave it alone.
No.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I'm fine on the amendment. To be candid, I'm going to vote against the bill, but I'm not. But I'm fine on the amendment. But I just want to make sure there was no
Okay.
misunderstanding.
Could I have a motion on the amendment?
I would move
Thank you. Do I,
number 1770H to Senate Bill 394.
do I have a second? Thank you. All those in favor, please raise your hand. You're thinking? Okay. On the amendment. Okay, now we will call the roll. Or have a motion on SB 394 as amended.
OTPA?
Yep. Thank you.
That was moved by
Heath.
All right, Representative Petrie, just to clarify, this is to comply with federal law, is that correct?
That's correct.
Aye. Yes. Representative Lynn votes no. Representative Turcotte.
Yes. Yes.
Representative Bucco.
Yes.
Representative Heath.
Yes.
Representative Murray,
Yes.
Representative Umber.
Yes.
Madam Chair, the vote is 6-1 in favor of OTPA.
Okay, thank you. Okay. That would be wonderful.
Can you put an R next to my name?
All right. No. Can't do that. I know.
First time in 12 years.
Okay, well. All right. So. Okay, so. Mickey.
We also have Senate Bill 376. We could probably
What's-
close out. I have an amendment for that.
Yeah, I want to go through all these bills so that I know where I am. I'm not sure I do. You know, I don't know what I would do without my friend. Okay. Did we have an amendment on this? Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
That they should consider putting that board under the auspices
Mm-hmm.
of the committee we're adopting the other bill, and then the appropriation down to 1.1.
Okay. Okay. This is the mental health. Yeah. Police incidences involving citizens affected with mental health. And the amendment, as we talked about in one, they were oh, Mickey? Should the findings, number one, is kind of a general statement by the Senate. Should we just leave that? And make this two?
That's up to you if you want to pass a bill that has a finding section in it or not.
I don't need it, but I know the Senate tends to love that sort of stuff. So what do other people think? You're good keeping it?
You're referring to section 1I, section 1, Roman 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm not either, but well, let's take it out. Heck with them. I know that'll be the committee of conference as to why they want the findings in there. Okay, so yeah. So what this is doing, we had a long discussion about whether it should be a separate board, blah blah blah, and so how we what we did here is we didn't direct them to put it under the Law Enforcement Conduct Review Committee, but we under the auspices. and similar to that established in the bill we passed last year about that. And it was just so that all of it is in the same place, even though it's a different thing. And the other thing that we did was we changed the appropriation by $100,000 for CIT training. Oh, somebody asked me if we were going to do CIT training this afternoon, and I said no. Oh, well. It came right off the 1.2. Because of the number of police departments that need training, not every town has a police department. And I think that he said 48 had already been trained. And, you know, he mentioned the number 263 towns. Well, you know, I can name 5 in my area that don't have police departments. Albany, Chatham, Hales Location, Eaton. You know, we've got all of those locations up there that count. Oh, this is a person that asked me about the CIT thing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So, I knew someone had asked me about it. Okay, so that was why we reduced it by the 100,000. Just, they're looking at, if it's done through contracting, it was like 12,000. Okay. So, did you want to say anything on this, or are you just interested? Okay. All right. No, we definitely support the CIT training. Okay. Is there anything? Could I have a motion on the amendment? Thank you, Joe.
The amendment minus section, minus the finding, is that what it is, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you look at the bill, section 1 is findings,
Yeah.
and this replaces it. No. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I see what you're saying. Yes, I see what you're saying.
Am I right? This says amend section 4 of the bill by replacing paragraph 1 as follows. So it's section 4. So the findings get to stay.
Do you want a new amendment that does strike the findings? You can vote on that and I can just draft it. So, okay, so keep it.
Keep it. And then we're deleting subparagraph 2O. And that was because
Sorry.
it's a repeat.
Yeah, if you look at subparagraph J on line 22 of the bill, you'll see that the president of the New Hampshire Police Association was listed twice. So we just deleted the second reference.
Okay. And then lastly was the appropriation. Yes.
So it's staying in here, under duties, Roman numeral 2, the list of all the organizations stays.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's a huge committee. Says the committee shall solicit testimony from the following.
In this case, does shall mean every one of them? Or they shall solicit from the group below?
Shirley.
Not that it was off. Holly Stevens, I am the Director of Public Policy for NAMI New Hampshire. And so what it would do is create a committee, which is made up of just legislators, because we figured with a list of folks that long that had a stake in this, that a commission would be way too unwieldy. So it's a committee, but what the legislation sets forth is all of the entities that the committee has to ask to come to testify. Obviously, the committee can say no. I mean, the organization could say no, they don't want to. But, and I believe every single organization on that list wanted to be on that list. So.
Okay.
You don't have to be on the committee.
I'm sure there'll be a reason for one of us to be on that committee. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Polly. All right. Did I have a motion? Okay, Joe.
1728H.
Yep. Representative Petrie, second.
Second.
Representative Lynn. All in favor? Opposed? 6-0.
We didn't lose anybody.
Okay, 7-0. Okay.
Does it matter that the fiscal note still says 1.2 million? Do we care?
They'll fix that. I mean,
The fiscal note won't change until the bill passes the full house. So
if you look at there is a fiscal note that shows, oh no, that's different. Okay. So I need a motion for SB 376 OTPA. Okay, second. Thank you.
Who's second? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. When you're ready.
All right, this is a motion, OTPA on Senate Bill 376. Representative Petrie.
Yes.
Representative Lynn votes yes. Representative Turka.
Yes.
Representative Buka.
Yes.
Representative Heath. Yes. Representative Murray.
Yes.
Representative Umber.
Yes.
Chair voted 7-0. Affirmative.
Okay. So, Joe, I will have you do this one. Okay. All right. So, okay, Mickey, the only one that we haven't completed is 401. Is that correct? And 381.
if we're gonna revisit 381, that one we would have to reconsider. And then
We voted on that already.
Yes, so
Okay.
we'll do work with 381, and then 401. That's up to the discretion of you if you're wanting to actually take a vote on the amendment, because there were a lot of moving parts. So
Yeah, I think
that's
we'll-
in drafting now, so it'll probably be a tomorrow morning thing,
Yeah.
I'd imagine.
I think we'll just wait on that.
Yep.
Okay, so make sure I have everything if you would. 417, 346, you got to do
Yes, I'll use the mic. for
Okay.
this.
442,
Yep.
494.
Hold on.
Or
Three-
394. Yeah, sorry, we just did that one. 394.
394,
476.
376.
370.
Reese.
Yep.
And then 401 and 381. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, 417 and 420.
Oh, yeah.
Two missing. Two, 381 and 401.
No, whatever you want.
Well, you might run into a problem.
That's fine with me. That give you enough time, Mickey?
Yeah, I'll have everything ready tonight. I'll send you the amendments that we discussed today that are, we'll get those drafted. The only thing for tomorrow that could possibly change by the sounds of it is whatever we do with 381. So if we do something, an amendment, I just have to turn it around for 3, which shouldn't be a problem, but that's, I think, the only thing up in the air at this point.
Okay. All right. 11 o'clock. I know that you're going to get redistricting done in an hour.
Yes.
Oh. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we voted that already.
So you want to give them guys a raise or what? Department heads and the, how many? It's 381, I forgot, 5%. That's the rest.